Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast with Kaitlyn Talamante, hosted by LadyBoss. This is a space where women rise, own their power, and stop playing small. We get real, we get raw, and we get fired up about confidence, health, business, and life. If you're ready to step into who God made you to be and unapologetically live your best life, then girl, you are in the right place. Let's do this.
This is what unapologetic looks like.
This is my era. I'm walking boldly in my purpose. I'm done dimming my light.
I'm done playing small. God didn't create me to blend in. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. The old me was surviving. The new me is free.
We rise together.
Here's to living life unapologetically. All right, ladies. So today's episode is going to go deep. We're talking about healing, awareness, and what it really looks like to find peace after years of carrying emotional weight and trauma. My guest today is Janet Hamilton, a compassionate inquiry practitioner, intentional holistic practitioner, a life and health coach, an intuitive healer, and the host of her very own podcast. Janet has an incredible story of moving from disconnection and burden to full alignment and purpose. So if you've ever felt emotionally neglected, parentified maybe, or just exhausted from holding it all together, then ladies, this conversation is for you. Let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome to Unapologetic. Janet, how are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you, Kaitlyn. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on. So as I told our audience, today we're going to be talking about trauma. And as women, I feel like a lot of us have our traumas. And it looks different for all of us, whether it be from past relationships or from our parents or from our own inner critic. And I know this could be a very deep conversation. At least I know I say that because for me, I'm like, okay, I know I've got my emotional trauma. And so your story must be so powerful. And I want to know what led you into this healing space.
My soul. That's what I think it was anyway. I've been doing personal development for 20 years. And then I burnt out 2.5 years ago completely and was immobile because I fell at the same time for 2 months. And I literally couldn't even watch TV. I was just literally laying in bed, sleeping and healing. And then the stronger I got, I dove into not one course, but like a dozen courses. And I thought, everybody around me is gone because I was a caretaker for a lot of people. I lost a lot of people, about 15 in a very short period of time. And then I had to instill boundaries for the first time in my life at the age of probably 58 and a half, because if I didn't, I wasn't going to make it. I chose myself for the first time. I think it was Christmas 2021 when I looked at my dad in the hospital who was on his way out. And I just knew there was not much more I could do for him. And if I didn't choose myself in that moment, I think I would have beat him to the grave.
That gives me goosebumps because as women, we put ourselves last so often.
It's all I've ever known, and I didn't even know I was doing it. So everything for me in my entire life has been both and, because I had no understanding of energies or boundaries. I've been of service my entire life, and I had no clue that it's funny because, like I say, it's both and.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue, and yet I did know very well who I was at the same time. But I felt like I was fine, and I always prioritized what was needed by the other in the moment because I could. And I was strong enough. I was resourceful enough. I believe I was intellectual enough to navigate myself through the system when and if I needed to, and usually for other people, not myself. And it's like,
what do you think caused that? You said you were aware of it, but you still continue to do it. Like, what in you, or what was instilled in you where it's like, you have to put everyone else before yourself. You have to be there for everyone.
I didn't know I was doing it. Honestly, I was just completely open. I had no comprehension, like none whatsoever. And I do believe these are also combined with the gifts of trauma. I think my first year of life was not ideal. My mom was extremely depressed. I was unwanted. I was at my mom's wedding, my mom and dad's wedding in utero, and they were forced to get married because I was on the way. But I also, so because she was depressed, I didn't have the nursing, the mirroring, the holding, the validating. I didn't have any of that. Both my parents grew up without fathers from the age of 3. So it's not like they could give me what they themselves didn't have. They didn't know any different themselves. I'm that one person in my family that is changing the trajectory of the lineage. Yeah. And I've gone, like, I think my daughter and I've talked about it, and I healed my ancestral trauma before I even healed myself. And it was in that process that I connected to myself for the first time in my life. Who thinks we're not connected? Your head's on your body.
Yeah.
It's so much deeper than that. And I had no clue.
So you've been sharing your story now pretty publicly through your podcast and the work you're doing. Has that deepened your own healing, or how has that deepened your own healing?
Well, I think the biggest part for my healing is finding like-minded people in community that are doing the work, because little did I realize that my body has been hypervigilant for safety. And I've learned through my own process that it's not safe to just be. And I've now connected the dots, like Steve Jobs says in hindsight, to figure out what was the cause. So we all have symptoms, but nobody's dealing with the symptoms. They're always dealing with the symptoms, not the root cause. Sorry, I got that backwards. And nobody knows. And that's exactly what awareness is. And I've awakened myself to be a large Spanish onion in the biggest Guinness Book of World Records, because I turned 60 in February and I feel like a 6-month-old all over again, because I'm doing life on my terms for the first time. Not that I wasn't doing them on my terms, because I always had conscious choice in the moment, but the present moments where I've always lived. And I think resiliency is my middle name, because I don't focus on the future or the past. I think about them, I plan for it, but I don't worry about them, because this moment to me is the only one that's guaranteed. And it is a gift. And it's the choices we make in those moments that add up to be everything that I've created since, which is the funny part. So when I connected within, I literally had a physical shift in my brain. I felt an opening in the right side of my neck, which is the vagus nerve. And then it took about 6 months for my body to settle down. And as a result, the inflammation's gone down, the cortisol's gone down. I mean, what I was treating as rosacea on topical is all inflammation from the inside, all disappeared. And I've lived with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas my entire life, going like this, wanting to move forward, but feeling this pull back and not understanding why. Now I get it. And it's like that brake has been released since I've connected with myself. So it was very discombobulating at first. And it's taken me till now, so maybe a year and a half, to settle into that new feeling in my body, because being dysregulated was my normal my entire life, and I had no clue. So there's nothing but calm, peace, and freedom after doing that inner work.
So I love how you're talking about this and that freedom you now feel. And the reason, it's one of the reasons why I have the podcast Unapologetic, so we can live our lives unapologetically. But also what I stress to the LadyBoss community is that once you find yourself, once you live for you, once you're no longer pouring from that empty cup, once I have such a hard time putting it into words, because the feeling, and you kind of did it too. It's like that feeling, once you tap in and start living for you, is like a feeling I can't put into words. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's like I'm finally living for, there we go. I'm finally living for now. I'm not living for the past. I'm not living for the future. I'm living for now in my purpose that I was created for. And it's not selfish. Let me just make sure I'm covering that, ladies. Like, it's not selfish, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You're not a joyous person when you're pouring from an empty cup and you're burnt out. Okay, let me ask you, Janet, when you had that breakthrough, like the way I explain, like the weight off your shoulders is just like gone, right? Like it feels like you're floating. You're like, whoa, who is this person, right? Is that how it felt, kind of?
This weighted tension in my shoulder, well, in my whole body, but mostly in my shoulders, from carrying that responsibility, not just for myself, but for everybody, because I chose to. And I didn't even know that I was chosen to have that done to as well. And a lot of what I was carrying wasn't even mine. It was my mom's, my dad's, my grandparents. And yeah, it's remarkable. I can't recommend it highly enough, honestly, because once you align with your intellect, your heart, mind, body, and in my case, soul, to me, it's all four have to be in alignment. And it has connected me to my purpose, my passion, which I've always been doing. I just didn't have a system. Now I have a system. So it's funny that I've never felt safe in my own body until recently. And yet all the people that come to me for healing say that that's exactly what I provide them is safety, which I think is funny.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where it's like, there's your purpose right there, right? But you had that inner trauma that you were working through still. And ladies, I want you to hear this. Like, there's different cycles in your life and different times in your life where I've kind of been calling it like a level up, but like when you release all of that, it can happen multiple times in your life. It's not just going to happen once, but it can happen at any point in your life. For me, it was 4 years ago. For Janet, you just said it was a year and a half ago and you're almost 60.
I just turned 60 in February.
Just happy late birthday. For me, it was in my 30s. Like this can happen at any point in life. Can I ask you something, Janet? If you could have learned this about yourself sooner, would you have wanted to?
100%. And I've never really been angry. I get frustrated, but I wrote a book back there called Understanding Feelings and Emotions, trying to understand them myself, because I would unconsciously just go into worker bee mode when I would get frustrated because I didn't have the wherewithal or the words. For somebody who likes to talk a lot, I have notes for a lot of stuff. And it's all because it was pre-verbal. So all the training deepened the connection for myself, but more importantly, it helped me understand myself and what I was doing and what I wasn't doing. So I believe I had every limiting belief, every self-defense mechanism. And I think it was always both and for me. I've lived my life, this life, and I do believe something else at times. And it connects you to it's funny. I care too much about most things, more than most people. I'm nothing but love. I believe we're all deserving of love. And it's funny now that I've got this new alignment within, I don't care anymore. And it's like, I do care, but I don't care. And I don't like saying I don't care because it diminishes the fact that I care more than most, but I don't hold back anymore. There's something inside me that's changed. I'm speaking up. I'm using my voice, my perspective. And I think, yeah, it was just my own internal world. I didn't know. And I do believe because a lot of mine's pre-verbal, we consciously cannot do that work. It's feeling into it with the right people and connecting to those feelings and sensations in your body, because most of my stuff was pre-verbal. So we have no conscious memory or before the age of 3, it's all body memory. And I think it's Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. He wrote a book, Body Keeps the Score, and it's bang on because the more work you do, the more emotional energy you release. And that's the healing part. And it's finding safe people to do that with.
So you mentioned it earlier. So we just spent a lot of time talking about like what it's like once you're finally in alignment, right? How great and incredible it feels. But you mentioned getting to the root cause. So many times I'm depressed or I'm anxious or I'm this or I'm that, or I'm just pouring from this empty cup. And we treat the symptoms, right? Oh, I need yoga. I need meditation. I need a pill for depression. I need some sort of something to treat the symptoms rather than addressing the root cause. Where is this stemming from, right? So are you saying that by sitting in it and addressing the root cause rather than the symptoms is how you get to that alignment?
100%. That is the healing. And I think there's something I resonated with a couple of years ago in all these courses because there were online communities. I was gobsmacked, really, how much I could still feel the other through a screen. And I realized that, oh my God, I'm connecting with everybody's pain and suffering. And I didn't understand it. And I had to delve into it even more. And I think the difference between me and most people, or a lot of people, is I've been chasing the pain because I don't feel it. And I think most people are running from the pain. They don't want to delve into it. So it's easier to have the drink, to have the smoke, to have the sex, to have the gambling. I mean, they're all limiting beliefs. They're all defense mechanisms because we've suppressed what really happened.
Yep. I love that. It's and in the word, what I see as being the worst part of treating the symptoms is the root cause is still there, obviously, right? But the root cause, when we're just treating the symptoms, is worming its way back into everything you do, every thought, every decision, maybe you think you're rocking and rolling, and all of a sudden life just blows up, and it normally stems back to that root you're trying to bury, doesn't it? Like it just keeps you stuck.
And it will keep reappearing over and over and over. Hence why we self-sabotage, because we don't wake up and listen to those signs. We're given signs. We just have to listen. And they're all meant for a reason.
Yes. Yes, they are. Ladies, it's not easy, right? And you tell us, be honest, like it's not easy to have to address the root, right? It's hard.
I didn't find it that way myself. Like even my classmates, they're just blown away by how I've gone in. I want answers. I want healing. I want that feeling to change. I didn't even know it was a problem. I had my appendix out last year and it was dead for over a year and I knew I was dying, but doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And it took 3 hospital trips in one evening before they realized what was wrong. I just didn't have the normal symptoms. I have a very high tolerance to pain. And I do believe it's all connected to what originally happened to me. And I don't know. I want to shout this stuff from the rooftops because I think so many people in the world are suffering needlessly just because they don't have the answers. They don't know where to go. And I mean, I've been following this man, Dr. Gabor Mate, for 20 years. And it's like, I've read all his books. I've shared his movies. And I couldn't understand why this man just simply got it. And then I got through the first level of the course and I went, mother of God. He doesn't just get it, he gets me. Because everything that happened to him, like me, and the stuff more importantly that doesn't happen for you, the holding, the mirroring, all that stuff, it's devastating. It structurally changes your brain. And he didn't get everybody, he got me. And honest to God, I didn't know him. And I've only had a couple of conversations very briefly with him, but it's remarkable that I know most of the people that I've met in these worlds want high energy. I'll never be high energy. It's just not who I am, and nor is he, because of that structural change. But there's a place for all of us, and that's why I called my business the Anomaly Factor, because I'm so highly sensitive. I know I feel much deeper than most, but I took it as a negative because I didn't understand me. Now I'm starting to understand all the boundaries and the energies, and that we're all unique anomalies, and that we're meant to be. And it's literally connecting inside to who you're meant to be, as Gabor teaches us, before the world made us out to be who we are. So it's fun, I think, on some levels, because it makes sense. It just really intrigues me. I'm curious, not just about my own process, but about others. I love learning. And when you understand what people have gone through, it totally makes sense why they are the way they are in the end. But it's those people who are orphans, people who are not wanted, maybe an only child, somebody that's been through trauma. Those are the people that are finding me. I'm not advertising. They just come to me. And quite often they're like me. And I think that's the resonance, that I know where they've been, how they feel. I can sense it. And when they make that connection within, that's when I have nothing but pure love. And I'm often crying before they are.
Yeah, they're so close. Oh, I love it because our traumas make us uniquely and unapologetically who we are. And we can either run from them and treat the symptoms, like you said, with alcohol or drugs or whatever else we use, or we can get to the root cause. And while the root may or may suck and may or may not be hard to work through, it's part of our story, right? And by tapping into that story, addressing it, no longer running from it, owning it, it just opens up the world where you can help people with your story.
And so many people are suffering because they're stuck in that shame story. And we all have it. Every single one of us, as far as I'm concerned. There's small T traumas, there's big T traumas. And quite often we minimize them because we survived them.
Yeah, because we survived them and we feel alone. How, like, a lot, like, it's becoming, I'm going to speak this into existence. It's becoming more and more a thing where people are sharing their traumas, but it really wasn't like, oh, you know, that's your perspective. You blew it out of proportion. You're crazy. That didn't happen. And like, those are probably things you hear from even family members, like, well, that's not how it went. Like, that wouldn't really actually happen. Or even stories you told yourself that diminished the trauma that's been festering in you for how long?
In my personal situation, for many generations. Yeah. And it's like, it's freeing. Something changes inside you when you do the process.
Yeah, it does. So trauma shows up differently for whether it's emotional neglect or parentified children. So like trauma from parents growing up, right? But it all reflects differently once we're an adult. That's normally when our traumas show the most, right? Have you noticed a trend with how the trauma shows up differently based on what their trauma was or where it stems from?
Well, I think we're all individuals and we process differently based on our circumstances. I mean, I believe we're all more alike than we are different. The only difference is our experiences and our genes, period. We're all connected. We're all one. We're all related energetically. It's very difficult. I think there is patterns. I mean, I'm type A. I've been running from myself my entire life and had no clue that that's what I was doing. Hence why I am OCD, perfectionistic, workaholic. I did it all. And it was hard for me. And it is hard for me to just be, to relax. I don't do it easily, but I'm doing it differently. So now I'm more in the feminine energy and I'm creating and connecting and changing things that way as opposed to just running physically and continuously burning out. The burnout was my huge wake up call. And that was I hit a wall, period. And if I hadn't have, I wasn't going to survive.
No, that burnout is a beast. I tell you what.
Yeah. It's like you said earlier. And it's like they teach you on the plane, you put the gas mask on yourself first, or you're not going to be around to help the person sitting next to you. But I was fine, completely fine till I wasn't. And it just literally hit like that.
Of a switch. So there's two key pieces. We've touched on one quite a bit. And that's addressing the trauma itself and not the symptoms, addressing the root cause. But the other thing you've mentioned that we haven't really touched on is the safety. And I love that because as women, one of our core pieces we need for survival, I believe, is we need to feel safe. But in this day and age, and with our trauma, it is very hard to have that safety, to feel safe. And I think you also mentioned the feminine energy and the masculine energy. And I think that's where the masculine energy comes into play for a lot of us, is like, because we've built these walls up due to our traumas and our experiences where we don't feel safe. So we can't be in our feminine and willing to, put ourselves out there and ask for the help we need and whatnot. That safety is hard to come by at times.
I've only felt it for a year and a half. Honestly, it's very, very strange for me because safety is a feeling inside my body, but I think it's also a sense of belonging in the world, which I don't think I'll ever feel, to be honest with you. I'd like to know that might change at some point, but I've longed to belong my entire life, surrounded by a large family and lots of friends. And now I literally long to just be, because I am very authentic and very open, very transparent. And it's the inauthentic people that my system detects. And that's when I know I'm not safe. And sadly, at least in my circles, there's not a lot of people doing the inner work. And that's why I've healed, because I found my people all over the world in these little squares doing the same work, trying to understand themselves, trying to pay it forward and help others their suffering as well.
Amazing. It really is all about community, whether it's with your trauma or finding your safety or aligning with something that you have a goal or dream of. It is surrounding yourself with women or a group, not necessarily specifically women per se. I say women because we've got the LadyBoss community and we're all women, but with those that have been on the same path as you, are on the same path as you, have been where you're at, like they can share, you're not alone no matter what it is you're going through. And there are those people that are wanting to share their story to help you. They need to hear your story because they need your help. And you start getting that sense of belonging when you find them too, because not normally with your closest people, your spouse, your kids, because they've got different traumas.
Yeah. And I've been emotionally regulating absolutely everybody in my own life, except for myself. I didn't even know I was not regulated. I just had the capacity to keep the peace, I suppose. But now I'm releasing a lot of responsibility and I just want to have fun. I've had a great life, don't get me wrong, but having spontaneous childlike fun, it's not something I've been familiar with. And that's really who I want to be now. I just want to connect with other like-minded people, connect them with people that I know will help aid in their highest version of themselves so that I can connect like-minded people together so that they can help each other, because too many people are competing in the world when they should be collaborating.
Yes, 100% agree on that. So, Janet, I know our followers love to hear more, and they might really. I know there's women out there who are relating with your story right now. Where can they go find out more about you and what you've been working on? How can they connect?
Well, the best way right now, because I'm having issues with my website. The website is actually www.theanomalyfactor.ca. And my email right now is janet@theanomalyfactor.com. So those are probably the two best ways. Yes.
I'll link them in the show notes, and hopefully by the time this goes out, everything will be back up and running and good to go. So everyone go follow Janet, shoot her an email, go check out her site. Do you have a newsletter on there or anything that they can?
No, I'm very new actually because of the healing. I've just, in the last 2 years, I think I've done 5 anthologies. I've written 2 books. I'm doing a TV show. I'm creating the website. I'm creating courses. It's all I want to do. But it's the technical stuff, like I was telling you earlier, I despise. And that's what holds me back, because you need it. And I just don't want to do it.
Well, that's again where you find those right people, right? It's not just for your soul and your alignment. It's even in business or wherever you're going. Like there's a group. And I literally just hopped off a call this morning with someone who I'm like, I don't know if I can afford you, like how, but I need you. Like, what can I do? And they're like, my purpose is I want to see people like you thrive. I want to see this, like what you're doing is so much more powerful than what you are doing is so powerful that I want to help you get out in the world, is what they were saying. And they're like, we will figure out the money piece. I'm like, oh Lord, thank goodness. And that's the power of surrounding yourself with that community, surrounding yourself with people who have living in alignment and living in their purpose. Is they want the best for you, even if they just met you for the first time on a call, right? And so you're going to find those technical pieces.
Yeah, sadly, that's been the hardest realization for me, honestly, is admitting that I've had more love, support, and encouragement from complete strangers than I've ever had in my life. And that's all I want to do, is help others do the same. Because we only have one life. We might as well live it to our best and highest version and experience all that we can.
The goosebumps are real right now. Yes. I could go on a whole nother tangent on that right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to, no, we aren't guaranteed tomorrow. We have today. We have our goals that we can live for and push towards. But if you lay your head on that pillow tonight and you're kicking yourselves in the butt because, you didn't help that person, or you let that word slip that you didn't want to say, or whatever else, like you only have this one life to live. Live it right, live it in your purpose, live it being intentional, whatever that looks like. So, Janet, what message do you have for our listeners today that you hope they carry with them after hearing your story?
To listen to that little voice within and to love yourself more, because the answers are all inside, and most people are chasing something outside.
Yes, they definitely are. I actually had a gal ask me last night, and she's a teenager. She's like 15 years old, okay? And I couldn't believe she asked me this. And she goes, did you always knew you wanted to do what you do? I'm like, well, that's a loaded question at this point in my life. No, like this is not what I always thought I would do, right? Like, but as I came into alignment, I was like, no, this is what my purpose always was. I just wasn't ready to see it until I was in alignment.
Everything happens after that.
Yes, it really does. Janet, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your heart.
Thanks
and
for
your story with us. Like, you're such a beautiful example of that healing is totally possible no matter what you've been through.
Yeah, and we don't always know that we've been through anything. I never felt like a victim, but the feeling in my body has changed completely. So you just have to listen to yourself.
Yeah. You do have to listen, and you have to be raw and real with it. Like let it impact you. Don't just brush it off. To everyone listening today, if this conversation spoke to your heart, take it as your sign to pause and to breathe. Start listening to what your soul needs. Your healing begins with awareness, and I hope for you that awareness begins now. You can connect with Janet through her podcast, which is called The Anomaly Factor. We'll also tag her in the show notes and follow her journey. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, share with all your friends who need the reminder that peace and healing are possible for them too. Until next time, keep choosing awareness, Keep showing yourself compassion, and remember, you are never too broken to heal, and live life unapologetically. Bye.
I'm showing up as the woman I was created to be. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be real. One woman's courage gives another permission. I'm done waiting for someday. My time is now. I'm walking in faith, not fear. God's plan for me is bigger than my fear. No more hiding who I am. This is the real me, and I'm not apologizing for her.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unapologetic Podcast. If today's episode fired you up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new one. And hey, leave a quick review, or sharing this with a friend helps us reach more women who need this message. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep living unapologetically.